Tonight, how is the cartel violence in Puerto Vallarta impacting Saskatchewan travelers? Petitions are circulating to stop the building of AI data centers and investing in Saskatchewan's mining industry.
Live from our studios in Regina, this is CTV News.
Good evening. There are hundreds of Saskatchewan residents among the more than 26,000 Canadians currently in Mexico caught in that cartel crackdown. Stacey Hines spoke to a few of them who are hoping for calm.
A vacation in paradise quickly turned chaotic for Montgomery and Marissa Lewis.
The air was really thick with all the smoke that was going on.
This was the view from their Puerto Vallarta resort Sunday morning. The Saskatoon couple was just heading out for breakfast when they saw what was unfolding across the city. Cars and buildings burning and major roadways blocked.
One of the vehicles that was burned was only a block away from the resort that we were at, so we could see it quite clearly.
Your Morning Saskatchewan's Mike Siona is also in Puerto Vallarta.
Kind of a little bit surreal, when you can see the smoke and you hear the news reports.
The violence followed a military operation targeting one of Mexico's most powerful groups, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, with Mexican forces killing its leader, a man known as El Mencho. Global Affairs Canada updated its travel advisory for Mexico, urging Canadians in affected areas to exercise a high degree of caution and monitor local guidance. Montgomery Lewis says while the situation appears to have de-escalated, tensions remain high.
And as far as we know, there doesn't seem to be any imminent danger, but you can definitely kind of feel the nervousness and feel the tension with the people at the resort.
Siona says the beach is noticeably quieter.
Probably could count only about 50 people in my line of sight, where before it would have been, hundreds, if not thousands of people on the beach by this time in the morning.
Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says she's been in contact with her Mexican counterpart and was told the situation is expected to stabilize in the coming days. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Now, with the civil unrest in Mexico, many flights to the country out of Saskatchewan were grounded on Monday. Jacob Carr has the details on what airport authorities and airlines are saying to the impacted travelers who are having their trips postponed.
For those looking to trade the Saskatchewan snow for some Mexico sun on Monday, they were out of luck. Both WestJet and Air Canada canceling all flights out of the Regina and Saskatoon airports to Puerto Vallarta due to civil unrest in that region of the country. The Regina Airport Authority says they are no stranger to all sorts of reasons for flight disruptions and are recommending customers check in with their airline.
To the customer, the impact's identical. It's a cancellation or delay of their flight. So what I'll say is it's very important that when these issues occur, regardless of what they are, to check with your airline to see if they have any change to their schedule policy.
WestJet canceled 2 direct flights to Puerto Vallarta on Monday, one from Regina and one from Saskatoon. On their website, the airline says they have extended their flexible change policy for affected Mexican destinations to February 25th and for travelers to check their flight status before arriving at the airport. Air Canada also stating that all flights to Puerto Vallarta on Monday were canceled and that they are monitoring the ongoing situation in Mexico with customer safety at the forefront of their concerns. For the Travel Health Insurance Association of Canada, an unpredictable disruption like this is the perfect example of why having travel insurance is important for flyers.
Making sure that they're helping individuals understand what some of their options are, as well as being there to support them from a financial perspective if there are costs that are non-refundable and they need to otherwise be paid out of pocket.
The Regina Airport Authority says there are currently departures scheduled to Puerto Vallarta on Thursday and Saturday, but the status of those flights won't be known until closer to those dates. The authority encouraged those currently in Mexico to also check with their airline's policy about reimbursement for an extended stay in the country. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
The province has big plans for SaskPower to help ease the planned transition to nuclear power. Keenan Sorokon has more on Saskatchewan's power strategy.
The provincial government is announcing its latest plans for Saskatchewan's energy future, with billions of dollars worth of projects to transform Saskatchewan's electrical grid over the coming decades.
What we are doing is a fundamental change in how we are looking at some of those decisions, building for the future, not just building for the next project.
The Strengthening Saskatchewan's Grid plan is targeting close to $3 billion of upgrades for Saskatchewan's power grid, built along 3 long-term goals. The first is connecting the northern and southern power grids. They're currently on 2 separate systems, and sending power up north involves routing it through Manitoba first. Wildfires this past summer burned power lines and tripped off northern interconnects, forcing the province to consider attaching the grids.
I wouldn't say that was necessarily the impetus, but that definitely was brought to light some of the challenges.
That will cost about $700 million and support the development of mining and other projects in the far north. Harrison says $2 billion will be needed to expand interconnections on the eastern and western borders of the province to more easily buy or sell power with Manitoba and Alberta. Saskatchewan has kept the lights on for Alberta during cold snaps this winter, and the ability to offer that more often could become an economic strength.
I think we are coming to a point where really the ability of economies to grow is going to be measured as much by their ability to put power onto grids and move it as by anything else.
The third part of the plan is stretching kilometers of transmission lines across the province to bridge the gap to nuclear generation.
Our province is growing, and we need to ensure that our power system continues to support that growth and demand for electricity.
Given the province's geographic location, Harrison says how much power the province can put online, both within and outside our borders, will be vital moving forward. Keenan Sorakan, CTV News, Saskatoon.
In the wake of a proposed AI data center southeast of Regina, another rural municipality may soon allow a similar build in their area. But not everyone is pleased with these proposals. As Donovan Mace explains, petitions are circling to try and shut them down.
The rural municipality of Edenwald may be opening the door to allow AI data centers within its boundaries.
Currently, our zoning bylaw does not consider data centers within the zoning bylaw. We have had an application for a zoning bylaw amendment. We do not have an application for an actual data center right now.
But this change would not mean an automatic green light for any project.
The opportunity through the discretionary use process does also allow council to put conditions on approval. So the process is a public process.
It comes shortly after a separate application in the neighboring RM of Sherwood, southeast of Regina. The applicant for that project is Bell Canada, the parent company of CTV News. Now it seeks to build a campus of interconnected low-rise data center buildings covering more than 500,000 square feet. 2 petitions circulating online lay out concerns surrounding it. The larger one, which has more than 6,400 signatures, says an AI data center can seriously impact our environment and overall harm our city, while the other raises concerns on the amount of water AI data centers typically use for cooling purposes, saying discharging untreated water back into the environment could cause long-term ecological damage. Back in Edenwald, Bisdell says the proposed amendments account for these kinds of concerns, requiring future applicants to provide extensive reports of potential impacts.
We also require a water management cooling plan detailing how the facility intends to meet their cooling requirements and how any water will be used.
Even if passed, data centers will be considered as discretionary use and require final council approval before shovels go in the ground. The RM will consider the amendments at a public hearing Tuesday morning. Donovan May, CTV News, Emerald Park.
The province's mining industry will be seeing a new resource this year thanks to a multi-million-dollar project that will soon begin construction. Hallie Mandrick has more on the parts and service facility that will handle mechanical equipment used underground.
1, 2, 3. Ground has officially been broken on Saskatchewan's latest major infrastructure project.
Saskatchewan is actually the largest potash producing province in the world. So for us, making cutting machines for underground mining, and potash is one of the commodities that is soft enough that you can cut it instead of using drill and blast, it's the right and perfect place for our business to be here.
Sandvik Mining and Rock Technology is investing $51 million into a mechanical cutting, parts and services facility intended to support Saskatchewan's mining industry with a focus on potash. While Sandvik is paying for the facility, the company will be working with both the provincial and federal governments to create the capacity for specialized training.
We'll have a training development centre inside the new building, and our aim is to educate the new miners on the new technology, like you can see behind me, which is very, very technical and specialised, and it will need extra curriculum training on that. And that's why we want to partner with some of the colleges, the local colleges in the community as well.
The 51,000 square foot facility will be built on a 155-acre site in the North Marquis industrial area. While Sandvik is a multinational company, Corcoran says it's focused on keeping this project local amid frequently changing tariffs imposed by the United States.
So it's not our intent to be trying to bring in products from the US and get tariffs. We think tariffs will probably be there for a long time, even after the current administration's gone. So we need to build that capacity inside the country as much as we can.
With Valent adding that Saskatchewan's potash industry is expected to continue growing in spite of international trade restrictions.
This is the biggest deposit in the world, in Saskatchewan. The other big areas at the where potash exists is actually Belarus and Russia, but they are facing a lot of export restrictions on that product. So this is a very good opportunity for Canada to step up production.
The building is expected to be completed by the end of this year. Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
After running reduced hours throughout the weekend, the Regina Urgent Care Centre is shortening its hours again tomorrow. The care centre will open at its normal time Tuesday, but close at 4 p.m. Anyone needing urgent medical care outside of the centre's hours should go to either of Regina's 2 hospitals instead. The Saskatchewan Health Authority says the adjustment is to accommodate doctor availability and that normal hours will be back the following day. Well, we do not have a Sabine availability because she is dealing with TeleMiracle things. So we have Sierra jumped into the weather center for us today, and still a little cool to start things off.
It is, Ali. It is a bit colder. It was a calmer winter day today, though, in Regina and for majority of the province, which might change coming into tonight and leading into the week. But if we take a look at the almanac, again, we did see some high temperatures in terms of a 3.8. It did feel a bit colder with those wind chills. In terms of compared it to last year, not as warm with that 4.3. As in the low, we did see a low of minus 17. Again, not as warm as last year with that minus 12. In terms of the radar and satellite, if we take a look, Regina, again, those clouds were just kind of rolling through. We did see some snow in Saskatoon, though. That might come our way in Regina, but in terms of the current temperatures, again, colder than usual for this time of the year, with Saskatoon seeing minus 14 and Regina that minus 3, so a bit warmer than our neighbors. But yeah, we'll have more for you later in our main weather.
Thank you, Sierra. Posing as an organization or business online is a regular tactic used by scammers to con money from victims. There are several scams making the rounds right now, including one longtime Regina festival having their name used by fraudsters. Mick Favel explains.
A colorful poster inviting the public to sign up to be a vendor at the 2026 Cathedral Village Arts Festival Street Fair. One problem, it's fake. The poster has been floating around online with 2 people falling victim to the scam, something festival management do not take lightly.
We have a system where if you go to our website, that they were able to short circuit that, get to this community, get around us and get to this community and scam these women using the goodwill that we've built up over 35 years is really disappointing.
This is just one of a number of scams reported so far in 2026. Emails have been circulating asking for credit card and banking information from Sask Power users. The City of Moose Jaw Police Service is also warning the public about an email scam involving unpaid provincial violation tickets. With the rise of technology, Moose Jaw Police say these types of crimes have jumped substantially.
Depending on who's out there, like maybe it's an elderly scam or, there's different type of scams that people are more prevalent to accepting of the information, and they can get scammed a little bit more easily. But they do set the net wide and just try to get who they can get.
The fake Cathedral Village Arts Festival poster was circulating within newcomer groups online. When festival management heard what happened, they immediately reported the poster and it was taken down.
We have to put these caveats and warnings on all of our messaging now. If you go and look at any craft market in the city, any craft market in North America, or rummage sale, these scammers are hitting social media and trying to get people's money.
The Arts Festival Board will be giving booths to the 2 people who fell for the scam and say their website is the proper channel for everyone moving forward. Mick Favel, CTV News, Regina.
Well, most of us have had that pain or pressure in our chest from a bout of heartburn, but for one Saskatoon man, it wasn't heartburn, but heart disease. Now tonight, he's sharing his story as a new report suggests many Canadians don't know their own risk. Laura Woodward has more.
What Cliff Marchuk thought was heartburn turned into a triple bypass surgery at 66 years old.
I find it quite surreal, because I've been an active guy, and I'm not the most fittest person, but I was at the gym and I worked and I was lots of walking and things like that. So we tried to follow a relatively good diet at home. I don't smoke, so this really caught me off guard.
According to a new report from the Heart and Stroke Foundation, only half of Canadians say they understand the warning signs. Yet 9 in 10 people have at least one risk factor for heart disease or stroke. Those risks include smoking, poor diet, stress, lack of sleep, and not enough physical activity.
And another trend that I'll highlight that's of concern across Canada and here in Saskatchewan is the high rates of vaping among youth. We know that vaping is increasing a whole new generation to nicotine addiction, and it makes it more likely that youth will eventually start smoking.
While some factors like age and genetics can't be changed, experts say 80% of premature heart disease can be prevented with lifestyle changes. Marchuk is now part of CARG, a Saskatoon group that promotes education, exercise, and community for heart patients. He hopes his story encourages others to pay attention to potential symptoms and not ignore chest pain.
Listen to your body. Okay, I had the warning signs months in advance, and I didn't listen to it. I just thought it was something that I could shrug off and keep on going.
Laurel Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Saskatchewan Rough Riders have announced how they will handle the limited spaces for the first year of tailgating this season, and it's going to be a bit of a draw, a lottery. For this year, only season ticket holders can enter the draw, though they're going to go through their online account manager or through an email that was sent today by the riders. The deadline is just before midnight on March 5th. Those that are selected will be contacted in April. Tailgate passes for the whole season are $500. Regulations still being worked out with the province, but approved tailgaters will be allowed to bring their own alcohol and prepare their own food. If you don't have season tickets, you could still get them and get in on a tailgating. Still ahead, more on the unrest in Mexico over the death of a cartel leader. And world leaders aren't backing down on Donald Trump's newly announced global tariffs. A wave of retaliatory violence across Mexico after the killing of cartel kingpin El Mencho by military forces. Global Affairs telling Canadians in Mexico to exercise a high degree of caution and avoid travel to hot zone Puerto Vallarta, along with other states that include popular destinations like Acapulco and Mazatlan. Avery Haynes is in Mexico City, where the country's president is appealing for calm.
I've just landed in Mexico City trying to make my way to Puerto Vallarta, which is no easy feat considering the fact that this country has been plunged into chaos with travel warnings as well as flight cancellations. Thousands of Canadians who are stranded in this country because of those cancellations had no idea when they booked their flight to escape the cold that they would be plunged into the heat of narco violence. They have been sending back absolutely jarring images, not of beaches and sunsets, but of war zones. Now, we know that some internal flights have just reopened, so we're heading over to the domestic area to see whether or not some of those who have been stranded at the airport in Puerto Vallarta might hedge their bets and come to Mexico City to try to make their way back to Canada. As well, I have done extensive reporting on cartels in Mexico and am getting my sources on the ground to give me some information on what might happen next in a country clearly on edge. Avery Haynes, CTV News, Mexico City.
MPs have returned to the House of Commons, with former Conservative Matt Giroux taking a seat on the government side for the first time today. The Alberta MP crossed over to the Liberals last week, months after announcing he was going to leave politics. Giroux says he reflected over the holidays about staying on as an MP and cited Prime Minister Mark Carney's speech at the World Economic Forum as a reason for making the jump. He is the third Conservative to join the Liberals since November. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says Giroux has betrayed the people of his riding. Now, the Conservatives plan to put a motion before the House tomorrow asking to examine health benefits for asylum seekers and restrict who has access to those services. The motion also calls for asylum seekers who are appealing their claim to only be covered for emergency life-saving care. The Conservatives tell the Canadian press the rationale for the motion comes from rising costs associated with the program that covers primary care for refugees and asylum seekers. Government data shows those costs have jumped almost fourfold since 2020 to nearly $900 million a year. Countries around the world are pushing back against new threats from the White House after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that most of Donald Trump's tariffs were illegal. The markets reacted today, with the Dow closing down more than 800 points. Judy Trin has the latest.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day.
Donald Trump's use of emergency economic powers to impose tariffs has been shackled by the Supreme Court, but the White House says it will use other tools to get what it wants.
The administration remains undeterred in reshoring American factories and getting rid of these massive trade imbalances.
Trump says he'll impose new 15% global tariffs to replace the ones deemed illegal. On social media, Trump warned against playing games and threatened much higher tariffs if countries back out of trade deals. But the European Union may not ratify the agreement it signed with Trump last year.
A deal is a deal. Both sides have agreed to and indeed have a duty to honour their part of the agreement we made with the US.
In the past year, Trump's tariffs have brought in more than 240 billion Canadian dollars.
He needs to return that money, needs to refund that money with interest. He can do that in a nanosecond.
The Supreme Court decision does not apply to tariffs that are devastating Canadian steel, aluminum, automobiles, and softwood lumber. But in the past few weeks, some Republican representatives have voted against Trump's tariffs on Canada. Ontario's premier seized the moment to highlight the shifting support.
We saw what happened in Congress. We saw what happened in the Supreme Court. The walls are closing in, I believe, on President Trump right now.
Because of CUSMA, Canadian companies will mostly be exempt from Donald Trump's latest tariff threat. The Prime Minister has yet to comment on Trump's newest threats, but he is preparing for an overseas trip. He's headed to India, Japan, and Australia later this week to promote trade. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
The former British ambassador to the United States has been arrested in a misconduct investigation related to his ties with Jeffrey Epstein. Peter Mandelson, arrested in North London, Ontario, suspicious of misconduct in public office. It comes after allegations surfaced that Mandelson shared government information with Epstein 15 years ago. Mandelson has not been charged and did not face any allegations of sexual misconduct. His arrest comes 4 days after Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the former prince, was arrested on suspicion of a similar offense, also related to his friendship with Epstein. Nick Reiner has pleaded not guilty to murdering his parents, Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner. Reiner's attorney entered the not guilty plea to 2 counts of first-degree murder in a Los Angeles courtroom today. The acclaimed director and his wife of 36 years were found dead in their Los Angeles home December 14th. Nick Reiner was arrested hours later and has been held without bail ever since. Police have not said anything about a possible motive. Coming up, a Saskatchewan woman has created an app to stop you from scrolling on your phone.
A record-setting win for a head coach. Tuesday on Your Morning Saskatchewan, we are checking in with the head coach of the Flin Flon Bombers after his 600th win behind the bench.
Welcome back. We'll take a look at the sky cam right now in Regina. It's looking fairly nice and calm with those clouds and, that nice sunset. If we look at the temperature right now, it is a low of -3 with those wind speeds. Right now, that 19 kilometers. It is expected to come up as we head into overnight. If we take a look at that radar and satellite in terms of today's temperatures, again, those clouds just kind of rolling through Regina. Not as much active weather in this area of the province as in terms of Saskatoon. We did see some snow kind of rolling through out today. In terms of the weather tracker, again, looking today, that snow kind of picked up in that Saskatoon Wynyard area. If we heading into tonight, Regina can see a chance of flurries coming in. Leading in overnight. Not expecting too much snow, but could be possibly light snow. As for tomorrow, not much is happening. If we look back into Wednesday, that snow is expected to return in kind of the northern end of the province. Regina, just majority cloudy, and those wind speeds are expected to pick up in the middle of the week. As we take a look at terms of how much snow with those chance of flurries coming in, I'll just get out of the way here. That 1 to 3 centimeters of snow is expected to happen in that Regina Moose Jaw area. As for swift current, they could see 6 centimeters. Maple Creek, about 2 centimeters of snow is expected to happen overnight. As we head into later in the week, that snow is again expected to stay around that 1 to 3 centimeters range. Swift current being about 6 centimeters. Maple Creek 2 centimeters. If we take a look at your forecast tonight, those low temperatures are -24 in La Roche. As for Lloydminster, -19. Prince Albert, -21. For those in terms of North Battleford, -19. Saskatoon, -19 with those snow kind of coming in tonight, but stopping later in the tonight. For Maple Creek, we will see -13. Swift Current, -14. Moose Jaw, -16. As for Weyburn, expect a low of -15. Assiniboia, -13. And for Estevan, -14. Take a look in Regina tonight. Again, those chance of flurries are expected to come. Possibly light snow. Not too much is happening in terms of that range, but those wind speeds are expected to pick up at that 25 to 45 kilometers. If we take a look at your 7-day forecast in Regina, Tuesday, again, that low of -13 with that high of -13 with the low of -19. For Wednesday, it will be partly sunny throughout the day. We will see a high of -2 and a low of -6 for Tuesday. As for Thursday, again, nice and warmer than usual for this week with a high of 3 and then a -10. As we head into Friday, we will see that temperature drop a bit more, looking at -10. However, with those wind speeds slowly starting to pick up, it could feel close to -20. So get those winter jackets still staying on for the week. A low of -26 is expected. And as we head into the weekend, those cold temperatures are going to continue, sitting at that -18 for Saturday, a low of -24. Sunday, the -14. We will see that high temperature, and for the low, it could be -18. And as we head into Monday, those low temperatures will kind of still drop. Sorry, high temperatures, I should say, should not be as cold as we see that -6, and for that low, -12. So again, the cold temperature isn't going away anytime soon, but again, it is winter, so just expect that. And in terms of those wind speeds, it will be there, Lee. So again, the temperatures might seem a little low, but with those wind speeds, it might feel a little colder than it seems.
A little reprieve, but yeah, that's about it. Okay, no problem. Thank you, Sierra.
Thanks, Lee.
A Dundurn woman turned 50 this month. In addition to celebrating the milestone, she also had a party to celebrate the launch of an app she developed. As Carla Shinkaruk tells us, the unique app helps people manage the times they spend scrolling on their phones.
In this small workshop south of Saskatoon, Rhonda Lavoie worked for the past year to develop an app to help herself and others stop scrolling on their phones so much.
I knew that I needed something to help me manage the scrolling, getting sucked into this, mostly social media.
It works like this.
So you're allowed to use your device just like you normally would. You select the apps that you want to help with, and after a set period of time you just get an overlay on your phone that says, no, it's time for a break.
And it also promotes getting active by providing a healthy option in exchange for getting back on your phone.
So you could either just simply wait for the cool down to expire, or you can get up and go get your steps in and reduce that timer faster.
She hired an app developer to help with the idea, and 1 year later it's up and running.
We went Google Play first, Android first, and then iOS is in the works now. So hopefully mid to end of this year, it'll be available on Apple too.
There's a free version and a pro version, which is a paid service and offers more personalization and scheduling options.
There's just over 20 people that are active users.
She admits the uptick has been slow, but she says it's been beneficial, so any glitches can be worked out fully. She's ultimately hoping to reach millions of people worldwide by offering this app, which doesn't make users feel bad for being on their phone, she says.
I like my phone. I like social media. I don't want to be punished for it. I just also don't want to get stuck in it.
She says there's also an override option for social media emergencies. Carla Shinkaruk, CTV News, near Dundurn.
Still ahead, the U of S Huskies are bounced from the Can West women's basketball playoffs, losing for the first time since last season. WHL, the Regina Pats had their season-high 5-game winning streak snapped on the weekend thanks to the league's newest franchise, the Penticton Vees.
By Rylance. Now a stretch pass behind the defense. Johnson, a breakaway. Here he is. Scores!
Diego Johnson, pair of goals as Penticton beat Regina 7-3. Connor Bear had a pair of goals in the loss for Regina. The Pats remained in 7th place, 4 points on the 9th-place Moose Jaw Warriors, who lost both games this past weekend. Tomorrow night, Moose Jaw heads to Calgary. Swift Current entertains Penticton. Now, after winning 51 straight games, the U of S women's basketball team had their streak snapped at the worst time in the Can West semifinals.
The one here gets it up, and now the Calgary Dinos are through to the Canada West Finals. They are the one.
Yeah, it could be one of the biggest upsets in conference history. It was the Calgary Dinos beating the Huskies 61-58, and even with the loss, the Huskies ranked first in the nation, all but guaranteed the at-large berth into the national tournament. Unfortunately for the U of R Cougars, who lost Friday to UBC, they will miss nationals because of that, despite being ranked 4th heading into playoffs. 2026 youth sports and Canadian Collegiate National Curling Championships wrapped up on the weekend. Regina Cougars men failed to make the playoffs, while the women had a shot at a bronze medal. In a rematch of this year's Canada West Conference Championship, the Cougars lost to the University of Alberta in a bronze medal game. Overall, though, Regina sees the weekend as a success.
As much as we wanted to bring home a medal or a trophy and the Red Jackets, we're just so proud of ourselves. We're a throw-together team, basically. Like, we all have our own competitive teams, and we're just so happy with how well we performed all week. It just increases our goals. Like, our goals this week was to make playoffs, and we got there. Next year, it's going to be bring home a medal.
In the end, Memorial University won gold. That team includes Brad Gushue's daughter, Haley. University of Calgary Dinos won the men's side. Both teams will represent Canada at the 2027 FISU World Winter Games. Saskatchewan Rush have improved to 10-1 on the season.
Ball loose on the floor, picked up by Church, and he got it back out in front, and it's put home by Zach Manns. That
assist was point number 950 for Robert Church, makes the 34-year-old the franchise points leader, surpassing Mark Matthews. Ryan Keenan led the way with 4 goals, 4 assists in the 14-6 win over the Philadelphia Wings. The Rush take on the Buffalo Bandits on Friday night.
Still
Still ahead, Regina police need your help to find the culprit behind an arson.
Now let's take a look at your rural forecast for tomorrow. Again, those cold temperatures will be there, but we should see majority of the sun throughout the day and clouds kind of mixing up. In terms of Meadow Lake, we will see a high of -12. Lloydminster, the same temperature. In terms of Spiritwood, a high of -13. Melfort, -16, so a bit colder than those most areas. In terms of Watrous, we will see -13. Outlook, -12. Wynyard and Hudson Bay could expect to see some clouds with a high of -14 for Hudson Bay and a high of -16 for Wynyard. In terms of the Lumsden area, again, that -13 is expected to come. In terms of Kenora, -16. As for the southeast of the province, a bit cooler as well with that -13 in Carlisle. And in terms of the southwest, Maple Creek will be in that a bit warmer with that -2. If we take a look at what is expected for Cudworth, that sunny and clouds are expected to kind of shine throughout the day with those wind speeds being about lower, about that 15 to 25 kilometers. So even though it is a high of -16, it may feel a bit colder with those wind speeds. But again, it will be sunny for majority of the day with those clouds peeking through.
The incident happened on February the 2nd, 2026 at around 6 p.m. in the evening on the 2000 block of Lawrence Street. A man set fire to a Loras disposal bin. Video surveillance in the area shows a man walking by wearing black pants and a blue and white plaid jacket. He is seen in the video walking with an obvious limp. If you know who this is, call Crime Stoppers.
I'm Belton Johnson, board member for Regina Crime Stoppers. Did you know Crime Stoppers will pay up to $2,000 cash rewards for information on this or any other serious crime in Regina? Callers do not have to identify themselves. Calls are not traced or recorded. In Regina, Saskatchewan, and Canada, call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. That's 1-800-222-8477. You can also access our website at www.reginacrimestoppers.ca. Remember, our community suffers when you remain silent. Please report crime.
Crime Stoppers is brought to you by Leak Audiology, helping you live well with better hearing.
The Sask NDP continues their hard press in Yorkton today. They are in the city discussing the proposed new hospital. NDP MLA Alina Young says the Saskatchewan NDP submitted a Freedom of Information request asking for every single document related to the Yorkton Hospital from 2011 to today. They received more than 800 pages, most of them redacted. The party says it's an indication that the government has no good stories to tell about the project on which they've spent $2 million.
And we're going to keep hammering MLA Chan and Premier Scott Moe on coming clean on their plans for the new hospital, because frankly 800 pages of fully redacted information, that's not transparency and that's not respect for the people that you represent.
Now, in a response to CTV News, Sask Party MLA for the Yorkton region, David Chan, says their commitment to the hospital still stands and that FOI requests are processed according to legislation. Back February 21st was an important day for the Bangladeshi people, with it being International Mother Language Day. It's a celebration declared back in 1999. As Bengali is spoken the most among the Bangladesh people, students in 1952 wanted the language to be spoken in Bangladesh, formerly known as East Bengal. The language movement started in 1948 and reached the peak after a series of students were killed in protests. In far colder weather than back home, the students gathered at the Saskatchewan Legislative Building on the weekend to celebrate their country, waving the flag, the green and white, or red.
We were told that Urdu will be our national language, but instead some of our students protested and they were killed. And we wanted to call everyone, respect your mother language.
Bangladesh officially gained independence in 1971. Ukrainians and Regina members gathered at the Holodomor Memorial near the Saskatchewan Legislative Building on Saturday to remember those who were lost. Been a hard time for couple Andre Onalina and Druziak, who moved to Canada in the mid-2000s and are constantly worried about their family members back home.
My classmates gone, like my good friends, husbands and brothers are gone. It's so many people lost by now. And what we're asking the community and people, be present. That's the biggest gift that you can give your time.
My brother is in the front lines. He's been volunteering since the beginning of the war, and that's actually his jacket he presented to us as a gift.
Yes, that is Andreas' brother's uniform, as well as a Ukrainian flag that was signed by soldiers thanks to their children that were raising money. Let's take a look at the canola street price. It's down $1.40 to $626.83 per ton, while the futures price is up $2.30 to $676.90 per ton. Amber Durham wheat stays the same, $278.59 per ton, while red spring wheat is up 72 cents to $265.14 per ton. Feed barley stayed the same, $232.01 per ton, while flax is $650.54 per ton. Those prices courtesy of Bunge. As for the markets, the TSX dropped slowly by 41 points today. The Dow Jones, as mentioned earlier in the cast, though, dropped a fair bit by 821 points. The Canadian dollar, it went down 1/10 of a cent to 72.99 cents US. Commodity front, gold up $119.96. West Texas Intermediate crude down slightly by 2 cents, while Western Canadian Select crude was up 33 cents. And gas in Regina, we've not seen a change. It's currently sitting at $1.27.9 cents per liter.
The EU says it is seeking clarity from the White House after Donald Trump increased his global tariff threat to 15%. Now, the move comes after the Supreme Court blocked parts of President Donald Trump's trade agenda last week. The European Commission says the U.S. needs to honor its tariff deal with the EU, adding that sudden, unpredictable levies disrupt markets and supply chains. Today, the S&P 500 finished the day down more than a percentage point, and European stocks fell 0.5%. Loblaw is looking to invest $2.4 billion in 2026 to renovate and open 70 new stores. The retailer says that includes 34 new Shoppers Drug Mart pharmacies and 31 No Frills and Maxi stores. The spending is part of a broader 5-year plan and will create more than 9,000 new jobs. Canadian energy company Emera reported weaker than expected fourth quarter results. The Nova Scotia-based energy company saw profit come in below analyst expectations. The shortfall was largely driven by shortcomings in its Florida electric utility business. Those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
Coming up tonight after the newscast, we've got Extracted at 7, followed by Memory of a Killer, then a Rookie, the fall and rise of Reggie Dinkins. I don't know what that is. Guess I'll find out at 10 o'clock tonight. Government of Saskatchewan proclaiming February 22nd and 28th TeleMiracle Week.
A flag unveiling was held in the Legislative Building today to recognize the 50th annual TeleMiracle show happening this weekend. More than $171 million has been raised since the first TeleMiracle, with funds going towards medical, travel, and life-changing equipment for residents of Saskatchewan.
The purple and gold colors represent the original Kinsman and Connect colors that were our kin colors back in 1977 when that first show aired. So it's a very special flag and very special opportunity to be here with our government officials this morning.
The telethon will run for 22 hours from February 28th at 7 p.m. until March 1st at 5 p.m.
And our own Sabine was there because she's getting ready for TeleMiracle. She'll be doing some hosting duties there up in Saskatoon. So she'll be busy all week with that. So Sierra will be filling in. Connor will fill in as well. But I'll let you take away our final kicker.
Yeah, for a politically charged action thriller, one battle after another stole the show at Britain's Film Awards, walking away with 6 prizes last night.
We have so much to celebrate. We have a line from Nina Simone that we stole in our film. She says, "I know what freedom is. It's no fear." So let's keep making things without fear. It's a good idea. See you at the bar. Thank you.
Writer and director Paul Thomas Anderson, after claiming the Best Film Award, one battle after another's other wins included Best Director, Best Supporting Actor for Sean Penn, vampire thrillers Sinners, and Gothic horror Frankenstein each won 3 prizes. Top acting awards went to Jesse Buckley for Hamnet and Robert Aramayo for I Swear. Easy for me to say. We'll see what happens when the Oscars come around. That'll be the big one that happens sometime in March.
Yeah, I honestly have only seen one of those movies. I need to catch up.
Which one?
Sinners.
I'm not surprised. That was a good movie.
It was really good.
That was. It's in tough, but good movie. You should see it if you haven't seen it. Good night.